everybody, it is Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to be showing you how to paint a fun little autumn landscape. This is going to be a great acrylic landscape. I'm going to break it down step by step. This is very beginner friendly. It is part of a really cool art challenge called Acrylic August, where I meet with my community every day from August 1st to August 31st, bringing them a new amazing acrylic painting tutorial every single day, and we all paint along together for the month, because nothing makes you better at painting than painting. That's like the number one thing that you can do. And to help me do this is my husband, John.
Hey, yeah.
He is here to encourage me, to encourage you, to encourage everybody. He also points the cameras at what I'm talking about, make sure that you can see the palette, you can be zoomed into techniques. And, you know, does that, if you're here for the premiere, be sure and put your questions all in caps. If you're here on the replay, just leave them in the comment section down below. I actually do check my channel every single day, and I do answer questions every single day. So whether you're here for when this originally airs or you're here later on replay, I've got you on that. I hope that you guys are here for the challenge, but maybe you just saw this cute autumn landscape and thought, I can do that. Let me assure you, you can. Together, we totally can do this. I am going to break it down at that level. So really, there's nothing for you to do but get your paint, get your brushes, come back, and I'm going to show you how you can paint this. So the materials for today's class are an 8x8 canvas. On my palette, I have the following colors. I have Mars Black, Burnt Sienna, Phthalo Green, Cad Yellow Medium, Cad Red Medium, Phthalo Blue, Dioxazine Purple. I've got a little bit of Titanium White. And right there, I've got Satin Glazing Liquid. Now, I get asked this a lot. I have gloss. Does that hurt or affect anything? The only reason that we use satin in the class is because it's not as shiny, because we have bright lights from our cameras shining down, and the cameras can't see it when the reflection happens. So we use satin for filming purposes, but gloss and satin are equally good. One dries shiny, one dries matte. That's the difference. That's all there is. So right there is that. And I use that for slowing down the drying time of my paint and to be able to glaze things. All right, that is the materials. When we come back, I'm going to show you how we do step one. So I'm going to take a 1-inch oval mop. This is by Princeton Select. It's the one that's brown with the dark brown tips. I'm going to go ahead and get it a little bit wet. I'm going to wring out the water with my towel so it's just damp. I'm going to add some glazing liquid to it so the paint isn't drying out on me too quickly. Working that into the brush. I'm going to get some white into the brush, and then I'm going to grab just a smidge of my blue and bring that over here. So what I'm trying to do is get a light enough blue. In autumn, the blues in the sky get just very light and clarified, so I want to capture that. And I'm going to come across the whole kind of top third of the canvas with this blue. Smooth that out, and then I definitely want it to come down a little bit in a V. And this is just going to give me some room for my trees to like lay over this. All right, now I'm going to want to dry this. I've rinsed out my brush. I'm squeezing out the extra water and putting it aside. I'm going to dry this thoroughly with a hair dryer. Sometimes when you lose glazing liquid, it takes it a little bit longer to dry. So about twice as long. So we'll dry it, and we'll come back. We're going to start adding the landscape features, which is going to be fun. I think we're going to have some fun with landscape features today. Let's do that. Let's have some fun today. So I'm going to take a number 8 Raphael d'Artagnan round brush, and I'm going to get it a little bit wet. Squeeze out the extra water. I'm going to grab a little of my black and my burnt sienna together. And I'm going to come about, 3 fingers up from the side and make a little mark. And maybe a little lower on this side. You just want them to be kind of uneven. And I'm going to have a little angled line that comes out this way. And I will push it in a little bit, making it sort of uneven. Then I'm going to come right here, kind of leveled out, because we want these to sort of be in the same place, because we're going to put a bridge across it. And then I'm going to make another little area there. So it's like a little angle down, and then a little skip, and another little angle down. And that's how we're going to get this to run off the edge. Now up here, kind of right starting here, we're going to add some green and yellow trees. I'm going to rinse my brush out a little bit. I'm going to take my yellow down to my burnt sienna and Mars black mixture, and I'm going to come here and start to make little leaf marks with my brush. Wipe out the extra water. I don't want it to be a very wet brush. And a lot of this will get covered up by the tree that's coming over from this direction. But I definitely want this sort of distant background of yellow trees. And then I'm going to come in and get a little bit of my green. Kind of mix it over to here. So I've taken it over to where I had burnt sienna, Mars black in my cad yellow. I want to be even more. I want it to be pretty light. And then I'll build up into the darker greens. Tapping this up and down, trying to make an irregular little line. Get a little more burnt sienna and phthalo green in there, and I'm going to come down here and make this darker. Coming across here. I think we could even go darker than what we are. Go quite dark. The deep dark.
The very deep dark greens.
I'm coming off the right hand side, and I'm really going to kind of bisect these in here, pushing in some different values. And I'll just go ahead and kind of scumble this in. Across here, I'm going to have orange leaves and bright red leaves coming over this, so I just want a nice dark value they can come from. So maybe even a little more green and burnt sienna. You can kind of see that I make these regular brush strokes right here. That's pretty good. Now let us dry everything. Now I'm going to want to kind of finish out my little Land's End here. I'm going to grab a little of my burnt sienna and my Mars black. I'm going to come here and start to build my forest. My foresty forest. A little more black in there. I want this to be quite a dark value. This is going to come down towards here. Kind of making a little triangle of dark. Grab a little more black. And I'll just brush this back in. Just kind of thinking about. And I will take this actually all the way up and kind of even blend this over this a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
going to grab a little bit of my burnt sienna and my Mars black. I'm going to just even darker than that. Going to plant some deep bushes.
Yeah.
Just trying to make this irregular so that when I put the light colors over it, I have some depth to work into. Get that depth of the forest.
Yeah, I can see that.
Deep in the forest. Okay, let's dry everything. So now I want to add some basis for my foliage up here. I'm going to grab a little bit of my Cad Red and my Cad Yellow together and make an orange. Then I'm going to go ahead and tone that with a little Dox Purple. It will first feel a little bit like the brown that you put down, but it's going to blend through into the bright orange of the tree better. I'm going to go ahead and add some little shadow values and irregular shapes here. A little bit of orange, a little bit of Dox Purple. So something different than just hitting it with the black.
Right.
And I can also kind of like add a little bit of this color here, making it look like a little regular. Right now it looks like a brown blob, but it will become tree in a second.
How now, brown blah?
Right now it's got its brown blob on, and that's just where we're at. All right, I'm going to take a little bit of my
Thunder blah.
Cad Red and Cad Yellow. Just tap some little leaves here. And this is sort of just the fuzzy little underpainting of the trees.
Yeah, I get that.
Now when I come here, I'm going to want to bring it much more into some yellows. So I'm going to rinse out. Grab a lot more yellow into the mix. It has some red into it still, but it's got a lot more yellow. And we'll just make irregular little marks. Little touches to show like little irregular lines of leaves.
Yeah.
Blending it back into the dark area of the tree. Okay, that's all we do in that step. Now we want to dry it and come back. I'll show you what we do next. Now we want to kind of do some work over here, and the main like beginning mix is a little bit of my Cad Red and my Dox Purple, and we're going to start putting in our darkest foliage with that. The deep shadow of the fall tree. Maybe bring it up, wiggle it up here. Where you want your darkest colors and where you'll observe your darkest colors is where the foliage is quite thick and therefore preventing the light. Get a little more yellow and more red into the purple, and it gets a little brighter. A little more red out here. Touching little marks. Little marks help it feel like the outer edges of trees. I want to make irregular shapes. And just letting the brush, the mark the brush makes starts to become the leaves. Bringing this down here a little stronger, working it into the purple. Bring that around that little edge there. So now we have these nice sort of tree-ish shapes. They're tree adjacent shapes.
Yeah, much more tree-y.
They're, you know, when we start adding like branches and things in, it will all come together a little more in the layers. You know, I'm going to come into here and I'm going to say, I'm going to take a little bit of my orange and let a little of my green work into it. Make some little bushes that are back here. A little bit of orange and green. Just pushing this through here, letting that be kind of the basis of that. And maybe a little bit of my, interestingly enough, yellow and a little black. I have a bit of brown in here, but what I'm really trying to do is get yellow and a little black. And then I'll come forward and do a lot of yellow. Get a little more black into it right here. You can see I'm coming back and making sure that this little shoreline has a nice shadow. Let's bring a little shadowing back here. All right. So that's good, and we're going to dry it. I'm going to take a 1/2-inch angle brush. This is the Princeton Catalyst. And I'm going to start to bring some of my reverse little colors down. I'm going to get my little bit of my yellow over to my orange. And I'm going to come from here and pulling a vertical line, start to talk about how the water is. I'm going to get a little bit of my green. Let's get a little green gold, a little green, little burnt sienna. Kind of blend this together, pulling that forward. A little bit more of the just trying to keep this as vertical as I can. Just off this shoreline. And then around the edges. We'll rinse out. I'm going to grab a little of my white and blue again.
That's really cool.
And just pulling this off here, just trying to create the reflection in the water. Bringing that up and down. You want colors that you see around to end up in the water. It's really what you're looking for. And then a little bit of my Cad Red and Dioxazine Purple. Quite dark here. And this is just that first layer of reflection in the water. We have other layers that will pull it all together, but we want to start putting those reflections in so that our world looks like what it is. Now I'm going to grab a little of my blue and white. Very carefully blend a little bit there. Wipe off. All right, so just kind of giving that a little zhuzh. We're going to dry everything, and I'll show you what we're going to do next when we come back. So now I want to add some structural elements. I'm going to get my number 6 sepia round. This is by Raphael. I'm going to get a little water and thin my black paint. Right, so it's a little less heavy bodied and a little more fluid. And I just work that water into the paint. You can see that makes it very smooth. And then I'm going to come here add 2 little bases, and then I'm going to try to just freehand myself in a bridge. Woo! I'm going to bring the line over. Just a little walking bridge to go over the water. I put this in now because we have plants that go in front of it. that I need to have, so I need to have it layered in early. I'm also going to come along my shoreline here with my round. And then I'm going to make sure I come along this one. Now I'm going to just curve that a little bit. So we're going to do a vertical post right here, and two in the middle. I think that one's a little off center, so I'm going to rinse my brush out with clean water. I'm going to erase.
Oh, that's magic.
Just using clean water.
And just because it's already dry, you're able to do that.
Because everything underneath is already dry, I can do that. So I'm eyeballing this. Because I feel confident like that. My little drop running down. You want to make sure that the posts are about the same width and length out from the top of the bridge here. And then I'm going to bring a little post that goes over the top of them. Let's bring that a little bit back. And then connect a little joint here. All right. The start of a bridge is pretty darn good.
Yeah, that's a good bridge.
Now, while I'm thinking about it and while I'm at it, I'm going to take a little bit of my glazing liquid and my black. And I'm going to make an opposite circle. Little marks that kind of make it uneven. A little darker, perhaps. Make sure that that goes back into this area where it's quite dark. Might kind of trim that back. Sometimes you're just trying to make sure that the lines We will be adding like other reflections coming through here too, so.
That really just centers the bridge and kind of anchors it.
Yeah. Shadows are the number one thing you can do to anchor your artwork, is just make sure that your world has some sense of light. Just back and forth through there. Now, once I've got that in, I'm going to want to dry everything. So I'm going to come over here and work on my tree some more. I'm going to take a little of my Cad Red over to my Doc's Purple. Make quite a dark burgundy color. And make some little marks. A few places to just show that there's deep shadow.
You gotta have that dark contrast for the light to pop.
Just bringing a little shadow through there. Definitely some down low, right? Little shadow down low.
That sort of helps create both texture and dimension, huh?
Yeah. Adding a little bit of that to there. Maybe a little bit under here. Giving it some texture and dimension. Now I'm going to want to take my red, and maybe it's a little Doc's Purple. Make some little touches of some leaves. What will happen is we get to the outer edges and where areas that would be in light, you'll see the leaves start to lighten up and orange out. But we've got to get this little texture sort of in. Just building up that tree. Building up that tree. No problem. Just building it up. Touching it. Just using my number 8 Raphael d'Artagnan round. Using a fluffy bush.
I love how the dimension just sort of kind of comes in.
Yeah, it does sort of pull itself in over time, doesn't it? Blend in here so that the tree looks like it's part of a real world. Rinse that out a bit. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my Cad Red and my Cad Yellow together. Cad Red, Cad Yellow together. Touching these little outer edges, brightening up the tree. Brighten it up as many times as we need to, my friend. A little heavier down here with the orange. I'm kind of sticking to the outer edges with the orange a little bit.
Yeah.
A little like orange into the tree. Just the little leaves. We're just touching little leaves. Gonna rinse off a little bit. All right, so I've got my orange. Very lemony yellow orange. Mix it with my green. A little more orange than that. A little more yellow into that mix. Just giving that little bush a little highlight. Come over here. I'm going to take a little bit of my black into my yellow. I'm going to get some white into it. Grab some more yellow. Just a little bit of yellow bush there. And come over here, and we're going to orange it up. Orange and yellow it out. So first I'm going to grab some just yellow. And I'll come to this outside edge and just start to just a little bit of brighter yellow. A couple little spots with some brighter yellow. Just picking up the punch of that tree. A little more orange. Touching up my little brush up and down, making little leaf touches. Breaking up our little tree. I want to fill that in. I don't want it to be streaky. I want my leaves to come in there. A little more yellow. And make an orange. Go ahead and bring some dioxazine purple over to it. Just make it darker down deeper into the bush. And then I'll get some more orange as I come out here. Blend that in together. Okay. After that, we're going to want to dry everything. So I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to use my glasses to do it. We're going to start putting in some of the trees and branches and elements that are going to like help these things say tree. So we're going to use a little trick though of object placement where we draw the lines through the bridge, but then when we do the highlights, it'll pull the bridge in front. So at first it will look like they're all intertangled, but then with a highlight, we're going to separate them out. And here I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. First, I'm going to start with a number 1 Raphael Precision. You could use a 0. You could use the any detail brush you have, any detail that you think is going to give you good fine lines. And go ahead and grab a little bit of my black onto my brush. Roll it out so it's very fine. A A little branch coming off here. Just little branches that are in the distance. And we've got a little group of them coming through here. As you can, you're just pushing these back into the little world. Just adding some trees to the world.
Yeah, they've got little branches reaching up in there.
Little branches reaching up towards the sky. Actually, I'm going to erase the bottom part of that tree a little bit. Maybe a little part of this one. And that's just because I want these to be further back. Into the distance, and so I need them a little bit more pushed back. Now I'm going to switch to my number 6 round sepia, and I'm going to load up some nice black, and I'm going to come a little bit above the area of the bridge. Make that a somewhat thick trunk. Okay, little branches coming off. And by breaking the little lines there, what I'm doing is I'm having the branches come in and out of the leaves. I could also just have painted the tree solid and then painted some of the stuff out, but this is just another way of doing that.
I like how this kind of, allows you to, it just allows you to select how you weave things in and out differently.
It gives you some different choices.
Yeah.
Then I want to come here and add some trunks up here. Sometimes I'll break that little line there just to show that it's just not just little branches going here and there, holding up the trees. That's what we're doing, is we're just painting stuff that could hold up our trees. Hold up all those leaves, right?
That's right. Yeah, branch out.
Branch out. Just get those little guys in. They're holding up the world. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my white and black together. Let me just get a kind of middle gray. I'm going to plant in some stones. Just across this little bridge here, so it's a little bit of a stone bridge.
Yeah.
So I'm just touching my number 6 round, making little round rock shapes. They don't have to be perfect. They're just a little bit of a texture there that's there to help them. I'm going to also want to take a little bit of my gray and white because this is my simple highlighting color. I think even lighter than that. A little rough highlight coming on the side. Little highlights here and there. Just a few little highlights in the trees. There we go. So now we've got the little tree sort of standing out. Maybe one more little highlight for the bridge. The top here. Oh, I like that. All right, let's dry everything. So now I want to come in and take a little bit of my cad yellow over to my titanium white. Make a very light, I'm using my number 8 again, and I'm going to just do light touches of these light yellows through here a couple places. I'll come between maybe a few of my branches. And that will help it be a different, it'll help pull these into different tree spaces. A few more up here just to make it a little bit richer. Brighter to the outer edge. All right, a little bit of highlight there. I'm going to rinse that out. That tree started to pull together. I'm going to take a little bit of my red over to my yellow and make a bright orange. Maybe a little darker orange than that, but still pretty bright. There we go. I find it.
You found it.
And touch some of those outer areas and add some little light leaves on the inside here. Touching a little bit of that outer edge and adding just that next layer of dimensionality into this tree here. That looks pretty nice. All right, so let's call that a step. We don't really got to dry anything because we're going to do these lower bushes here. Lower bushes.
Just go right
lower
on
bushes.
to
All
the
right.
shrubbery.
I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow into my red, and then I'm going to grab some of my burnt sienna. Going to add some little bushes that are here. I'll go right into my green and brown. Blend that up. Just adding a few little bushes that are kind of along there. While that's having a little thought or moment, I'm going to want to dry everything, and then we're going to start putting the final reflections in the water. So I'm going to take a little tiny bit of my blue and a lot of my white on my round brush, my number 6 sepia round, kind of loosely mixed, but on a sharp point. And I'm going to come here and add little water lines. To this little landscape here.
I love these little highlights.
Just a little bit of water line there. Just a smidge. I'm going to wipe that off. I'm also going to come here and grab a little bit of white. And make some horizontal lines back here in the distance. Once that's all in, I'm going to grab, now listen, you could do a bright, a debrush around, anything. I'm picking the round blender, the number 12 round blender, because it's going to let me really glaze this area and pull down a streak that kind of feathers out. You could use a Deerfoot stippler. I could try to do it with this one, but I'm kind of wanting to switch up the brushes. So I'm going to grab a little bit of my glazing liquid and my Mars Black. I'm going to come here and do my best to pull down vertical lines. They'll get stronger as they come down towards this angle. I can come along my little edge here. It's kind of doing that at an angle this way. And come back and then quite dark over here on this far corner. Come along our little edge here. Grabbing some pure black. Now I'll come around this whole like yellow edge here just to make sure it goes off the canvas. Now I'm going to want to dry that, and we'll come back and add some more reflections. So I'm going to continue on. I'm going to grab some of my yellow colors from where I've been mixing all the different ones. I'm going to keep using my number 12. And I'm going to pull a little bit of an extra highlight over the dark highlight that I just did. So it's sort of layered in. And rinse that off and put that to the side. And then let's take a little bit of our yellow and our red. We'll make a little bit of an orange. We're going to these are like little reflections and leaves that are floating on the water.
Ripples, surfaces in the water.
Yeah. Trick is try to keep them as horizontal as you can. Just pushing little reflections here and there on the little water. We've got our nice light ones back here, and we're pulling our leaves and stuff up front.
That's so nice.
Just little reflections. This is a quiet day today.
It just creates such dimensionality so quickly.
Yeah, just a little. This is our light landscape. We have some heavier landscapes coming, but this is our light landscape. And just what I mean by that is like landscapes with maybe more techniques, but nothing that you haven't been introduced to as we've been painting. Maybe grab a little bit of this purple and red. That'll be slightly darker. So you can add some dimensionality to these leaves that are out here floating. Just a little bit of little leavies floating here and there. Okay. Now to get the next part where we do some light reflections, we've got to dry this. So let's dry this and we'll come back and we'll add the final little light reflections. So I want to add just some little light reflections also in the front. I'm going to grab that blue and white mixture that I have. More white than blue though. Might get a little more into the white than the blue. Improve the flow with my glazing liquid. Just some little light reflections coming down. They're kind of mostly focused in the center, but they can come out a little bit into the dark areas and kind of imply some light that is maybe sparkling out through leaves or whatnot. And then break up the little reflection of that bridge. Right, so when we have those where we exactly like them, this could be whatever ever you feel. And I'm going to come down here and sign this. And I'm going to probably sign it in the rare color that I hardly ever sign it in, which is red. Hardly ever sign my paintings in red. A lot of artists really like to do that.
But this is cool. I think it really brings something to this one, though.
But because there's red and all these colors through here, I feel like that I can get away with signing red and not pull away from the whole composition. In fact, as you can see, it's not too distracting of a signature. Ooh, all right. We are done. I will go big and tell you what we do next. So this is a light little early autumn landscape. I wanted to make sure that this Acrylic August that we got a lot of landscapes in, because I know that there are certain subjects that people really get into painting to learn how to paint. And I wanted to make sure that we had enough landscapes that were building on sequential skills on each other so that you left this month feeling like, you know, you could paint a landscape at a 2 or 3 hoot level. And so I'm very excited to start introducing these more complex landscapes in there. As we're going to go, we'll keep adding skills, but it'll all still be on stuff that you know, right? Like everything here was a skill that you kind of already know, color mix that you can kind of already do. It's just understanding how to put everything together in this arrangement to create a landscape or a feeling of it. I love the little bridge. I love the autumn vibes. I cannot wait to see yours. I would love to know what you think of this and how you're liking Acrylic August so far. Are you enjoying it? Or maybe you're coming by for just your favorite paintings and not worrying about the whole month. Or maybe you're like, I'm hitting every single one and this is another day under my belt. I'm an art champion wherever you're at on that journey. I think it's all good and I'm excited to see what you've got going on. I want to hear all about it. You can share these with me in the Facebook group, which is Acrylic April, or you can share them in the Art Sherpa official group if you're painting along with me. And those are great places to share your art because people are encouraging. You can ask questions. It's okay to be frustrated or freaked out. All those things. People will help you out. And that's what I love. Like I love writing. Like I'll see somebody write something real heartfelt and I love to come in there and say, hey, I'm going to say a nice thing. But this chat's about to blow up with nice things. And so just know that that's a good place and a good resource. I hope you're getting excited about autumn and fall like I am. It's like my favorite season.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite season is I'm just a little pumpkin spice. I'm going to be honest.
And this is just a little amuse-bouche of that.
A little bit, a little early ring of the bell. We're going to have so many autumn landscapes this fall. And so I want you guys to just be ready for all those things that I'm going to be throwing at you because we're going to get real deep into it as we come on into the later season. Guys, thank you so much for showing up today, being part of this, coming into the premieres and being in the live chats. I just appreciate everything that you guys do. Y'all have been very generous this month. Y'all have been very kind this month. You guys have really participated. And so I'm very thrilled. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I want you guys to be good to yourselves and be good to each other. And I will see you at an easel real soon. Bye-bye.